One.
Hello, my name is Samir Mahmood, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the influence video games have in your life. Video games have become immensely popular during the corona pandemic, where everyone is forced to stay inside. And it's not that abnormal that everyone is playing video games nowadays. Hell, people are building $1 million careers over video games. It's absolutely crazy. Now, as everyone, I have also had a very traumatic experience with video games, and I'd just like to share that. Now, there are a lot of pros of video games as well as there are cons, but a lot of parents overlook the pros, and I would just like to change that. Now, playing video games is still a pretty bad habit, but it's not the worst. Okay, so let's start with the cons. Number one, the most common con is the eyesight. When you play too much video games, your eyesight gets ruined, and that there's no lie in that. It does get ruined. Now, people mostly play on mobile these days because they cannot afford a monitor. Now, that might sound right. Like you might think monitors do more damage to you. It's completely wrong. Mobiles do way more damage. Even I don't have any outside problems, but when I play mobile games for if I play straight for like 1.5 hours and I get up, my eyesight gets blurry. And when I put water, it gets okay. But when I play on computer for even more than 2 hours, it never happens. So mobile is probably more harmful for your eyesight. So the only thing I can say about this is just don't play too much. If you play too much, and mostly not continuously. If you play continuously, that will affect your eyesight. Be sure to take a break. Watching TV is not a bad habit. You could do that because you're really far away from it and it doesn't hurt your eyesight. Let's talk about the second one, which is the addiction and the harmful tendencies. People think, and a lot of parents think, playing shooter or any violent games give you violent tendencies. Now, it might sound right, but I completely disagree with that. For me, it's more of a stress relief. I play those games and I just can take out my anger or rage out to the virtual world. Now, I've always been born a pretty short tempered kid, and I'm not very proud of that. And video games help me maintain it. So, violence tendencies, it might get into some people, but it surely doesn't get to me, but still it's a pretty important thing to address. Then the addiction. Let me tell you something about myself. Back when I was 10, when corona pandemic was around, I used to get 30-day Ramadan vacations as everyone else, and those 30 days were a guilt trip for me. I used to play video games and watch TV all day. I didn't do anything else because I didn't have any studies. They used to give me I don't know, vacation tasks, but they were honestly really small, and I just grinded them out on the first 3 days, and I just be free for the rest of the month. And that was one of the most harmful things that ever happened to me. I completely lost touch of the outside world because of it. I also even got really sick because of it, because I was just playing video games. I was I don't know, sitting next to the monitor all the time. I was lying next to the TV all the time. So my physical condition also got really bad. The corona pandemic did not do any more less. In the corona pandemic, did not do anything for 1.5 years. I just played video games. Just video games. I didn't even watch movies, just video games. And I can tell you, video game addiction is one of the most horrible thing it can happen to a man's life. If you're starting to make anything innovative out of it, like if you play games all day but you're thinking, oh, I'll start a YouTube career or a streaming career after this, I can appreciate that, but you need to work hard on it. Instead of playing video games all the time, you play video games for 1 hour. Imagine you have 4 hours of free time. You play 1 hour or a 1.5 hour video games, and the rest of the time you work on your editing skills. Now that is innovative. You can do that, but addiction is just on a whole another level. It turns you into a completely different person, and that's when, for me, it starting kicks in. It's more of a reality check. When you start playing so much games, you don't really realize, you forget what you're missing out on. And when it, when for me it was when the Facebook site opened up for my school, and I saw I literally missed 2 months of class, and I was completely overwhelmed. And that's when you start to feel hopeless. You feel like, what I've been doing for all these months. I couldn't even read. I don't pay attention to anything. I just play video games. And it honestly is really horrible. I went through this, and it was not fun. And the thing is, it's more of like a laziness. I don't know what to call it. I think it's called procrastinating. So even after you get the reality check, you just do not want to read. You still don't want to read. The only way you're gonna read is if someone forces you, or if it's like, oh, your exam will be in a few days, you have to read. So you could start reading then, but that's too late, and it's not healthy at all. Now I'm going to be telling you guys how to get out of this addiction too. The best way, if you're fallen on a video game addiction, it is not easy. If you think, oh, if I play too much video games, I can get out of it by not playing, right? Wrong. See, all the time you've been playing video games only, you create a really bad relationship with your family, and at that point, your family doesn't even like you that much. They dislike you because you've been out of contact with them. You've not been doing any family tasks, so it's gonna be hard then too. But the only way you can do is to find a hobby or something fun. The only thing that kept me going on that Ramadan guilt trip was drawing. I love drawing. Not that I was really good at it, I just genuinely loved it. But I also didn't do it regularly. Imagine I just wake up on a day and I was like, hey, I'm feeling good today, I wanna draw. I just draw one of my favorite show characters or anything. I just draw whatever I feel like. And that really helped me get out of that Ramadan 30-man guilt trip, honestly. And the thing that helped me with the coronavirus was the roof. See, I hadn't gone outside for 1.5 years. I'm not exaggerating. I genuinely did not even touch grass for 1.5 years. And suddenly, I am a big fan of weather. Weather meaning most likely violent weather, but I also like clouds, gigantic clouds. It's called cumulonimbus clouds. I really like them, and they mostly roll up around. I don't know. They mostly roll up around at autumn, and I absolutely love that. Then one day, I woke up. I was gonna play video games again, and suddenly I saw a glimpse of the window, and it was beautiful. The sky was blue, and there were really cool clouds. And then I decided not to sit on my chair again and play video games. I went to my dining room. I took some water. I ate, and when mom woke up, I told her, "Hey mom, I'm gonna take the phone and I'm gonna go up to the roof and take some pictures." And she let me, and that was a game changer for me. I was an addict till then. I went up to the roof and everything connected. There was a little kid who was the caretaker of our house. His name was Tipu, and I knew him, but I didn't play with him. So one day when I was taking pictures, I think that was the second day, I saw him. He was flying a kite. I was like, oh hey, long time no see. And he was like, hey, do you wanna fly a kite? And he seemed really into it. I never flew a kite. I didn't know what it was like. I thought that was pretty dumb. But the second I took I don't know what it's called, but in Bangla they call it latai. It was incredible. The fact that I controlled something that was moving into the air, and to see how fast, how far it went up, it was genuinely incredible, and that's the first time when I thought about doing something else than video games. From that day onwards, I was literally not home half the time. I was just up on the roof, flying kites, maybe taking some pictures, and just genuinely just enjoying the natural weather. And that's one of the ways you can only get out of addiction. There might be other ways, but I don't know. The only way that helped me was find a hobby or find something else to do. Be productive. Now, last and foremost is it's not that big of a deal for little children, but it happens abroad. It doesn't happen too much in Bangladesh, but it does happen abroad a lot. Microtransactions. Now, as video games have grown, their marketing system has gone violent too. See, there are people spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on game items. Seriously, I'm not kidding. There's a game called PUBG Mobile. I used to play it, but not so much. I only play PC games now. If you search up that mobile, search up that game, and you just you write PUBG Mobile on YouTube, and you just to the next you just write buy. You're gonna see people wasting hundreds and thousands of dollars. There are people who there's actually a very popular story in Bangladesh actually, where a kid stole his mom's credit card and literally used 8 lakh takas on a game, and he actually got into therapy. I don't know about him now, but you can see what I'm getting at. Microtransactions are honestly really horrible in video games right now, and it's one of the things that parents don't know. And what I wanted to say next is esports. Like the Olympics, there is a completely big sport genre for video games. It's called esports. Now, I'm not talking small video game tournaments. No. I'm talking about stuff like a prize pool of $1 million. I'm not kidding. Esports has gone so big. That's why most of the kids want to start a gaming career, because they dream of that. They dream, oh wow, I can win a tournament one day. And I was like that, but I was a bit different. I didn't want to be a pro player on games. I wanted to be a genuinely fun commentator or a gaming creator. Maybe I could stream, but I didn't want to stuck. I didn't want to get stuck to the monitor all day. I just wanted to, if I ever started even a career on videos, I would genuinely just talk about my daily life. I'd play games, but I'd really socialize with my fan base. So I did not have an ambition of a pro player. Now, that is most of the cons of video games. It honestly is very overwhelming how much a bad influence video games took on you. And the pros are really low, but at least there's something. Alright, so let me start with the pros. First thing is online games. The games I play are shooters, and online means you get to play with people around the world. Now, this also includes mic system, meaning if you click maybe a button, if you hold a button on your keyboard, you can start a mic. And if you talk into your headphone or speaker, your teammates or the people you're playing with can hear it. And that's when my English got really fluent. In those games, shooter games, it's online, so nobody's gonna wait for you. There are people, playing it really aggressively. They're all playing really focused, and you have to do everything fast. Like, let me throw you an example here. Imagine, you are killing a guy. It's because of shooter games. You're killing a guy, and then suddenly another guy shows up, but you can't kill him. And in that moment, for me, I can quickly react and say, hey, there's another guy on me. Now that helps English enormously. That might sound like a very little profit. It really isn't. It really advances your fluency. Mostly your what can I say? Your response time. Okay, you can have a very fast conversation because of it, and you can react really fast to English. And many people take quizzes on English, maybe on online, and you can really help out with that too. So that was, and I'm not kidding, video games really help me with my English, mainly because of that. It might sound like a pretty small thing. I'm telling you, it's not. If you do that for 1 year, your English will genuinely get good. But you still have to learn English manually. That's just gonna help your fluency. It's really not gonna help your general English. Now, another pros I want to talk about is genuine knowledge. See, parents only take a look at the most mainstream games, which are mostly shooter and violence games. There are hundreds of games out there that really help you out. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna start with a series which I used to play in my childhood called Assassin's Creed. It's about a true story where it's believed that in the ancient times, in different movements, like even the Pyramid era, the British era, in these times, there lived people called assassins. They were a creed or a type of a group, and they used to kill corrupted rich people that brought harm to the people of the country. Now, this was a pretty I didn't know when I was little. Like, I'm talking about when I was 7 years old. I didn't know any of this, but I loved the game. It was a series game, and each game you were put in a, can I say, a historical part. Like, one game you were put in the Pyramidic era or the Egyptian era, and another game you're put in the Roman Empire. So it works like that, and wow, I learned so many things from that, mainly in history. I mean, true, you still have to kill people. It's pretty violent, but it really shows. And the most helpful thing is it is based on real events. Now, one of the only thing I'm sure of is one assassin named Ezio Auditore. It shows in the game that he actually was in term of or in friends with Leonardo da Vinci. Apparently, Leonardo da Vinci used to make blueprints or materials for his weaponry. And you get it what I'm getting at. There are games out there that can really help you out, and it's pretty good. Now, here's the thing: video games is still not a good thing. Okay, other than financial things, video games does not help you that much. The cons are way too much, but the pros are still there for you to watch. Then you can see driving games. Now, this is not that big of a factor for kids, but it can be for parents. There are games out there, mostly one called Forza Motorsport. There is type of a console you can buy. It's like it has a steering, it has the, I don't know what you call it, the stick you pull that goes from reverse drive and stuff. And the console in Bangladeshi taka, it costs about 8,000, 10,000 maybe. And in Forza Motorsport, if you use that console, you can genuinely learn driving. It's completely same. Now, there are other games like this, but Forza Motorsport is like designed for that purpose. It does not have good graphics, but it genuinely helps you to drive. So if you want to drive but you have anxiety that you're gonna crash, you can start with that. It's a pretty good practice. There are games with better graphics out there, but if you want to turn out driving, you can check out Forza Motorsport. Now, the pros are really specific, but it's the only one I can think of, honestly. And another thing is the people you talk to. You can actually learn a lot about their culture, because you'll see Filipino people, American people, African people, everything like that. And you can talk to them, and they're gonna say a lot of different things about you. I don't know. One thing I learned from video games are that Filipino people are incredibly kind. They're incredibly kind. I don't know if you know this. Their English accent is so cute and soft. It genuinely is like heavenly. And I learned that from video games. They talk to me. And the last thing is a con. And it's actually a really big one, and I genuinely warn you. Online shooter games have a really dark truth that not many people see. if your child is at 7 years or 9 years old, he will receive enormous amounts of toxicity. Let me tell you, people on video games cannot handle kids. They literally cannot. If they hear a kid on the mic, they will absolutely insult them. So playing online shooter games at a young age is not good. Even when I was 11, when I used to play online shooter games a lot, I used to get a lot of insults. I used to be genuinely depressed with them, and it's not a good practice to let your kid play online shooter games at a younger age. You can let them play other games like Assassin's Creed series or any good Forza Horizon 4 games, but that's the only thing. Now, this is a very important matter. Seriously, don't let your kid play online shooter games. They'll receive enormous amount of toxicity, and it can genuinely hinder their daily life. And that's all I have to say. Not much, but I feel like this had to be addressed. Thank you, and I will see you again.